What is going on, guys? So today we're going to be going over 6 huge mistakes that get you killed in PvP and how you can fix them. Since the new PvP event White Strikes Mayhem is right around the corner, and I know lots of people are going to be trying out PvP for the very first time and they might get frustrated. PvP is just a different animal than PvE. It really takes time to understand the core fundamentals of the game. But in this video, I will try my very best to help speed that process along, giving you much needed advice for PvP. This video will steer you in the right direction on things you need to improve upon as a newer or even a veteran player. I guarantee you, no matter your skill level or experience, that if you take my advice to heart, you will see improvements in PvP in no time. But before we get started, if you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to subscribe. It's free and you never miss an upload. Also, if you found this video helpful in any way, be sure to smash that like button. Did you like it? You like the video? Alright, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first mistake is all about changing your mentality. If this is your first time in PvP, it is drastically different than PvE as it requires different builds, buffs, muscle memory, champion points, playstyle, reaction time, line of sighting, and much more. When playing PvP, you also have to take into account your personal experience and ability to react quickly without getting nervous. Now, this will take time to develop. However, the longer you can put yourself in those stressful situations, those butterflies will go away. Understand in PvP, it's all about survival first. If you need to make a tankier build to give yourself more time to react, that is perfectly fine and actually well advised. But as you do improve, however, it will be beneficial to drop these training wheels for more damage to increase your killing potential, because you will replace your experience and knowledge gained being in those tough situations using those tankier setups with a faster, more comfortable reaction time and ability to kill people much quicker. I have several videos on my channel going over the top sets in recent updates, be it defensive sets, offensive sets, monster sets, and much more. I highly suggest you give those videos a listen before the mayhem begins. And if you guys would like, I could possibly do a step-by-step guide on how to make a beginner build right before mid-year. To reiterate the point of changing your mentality, it is okay to die. However, learn from it and record your gameplay. Look back at it at the end of the night and see what you may have done wrong and how you can improve. Also, don't run from PvP engagements. The longer you stay out of fights, the harder it will be for you to learn, whether you're a solo player or even play in a group. The more action and PvP you do, the better you will become. On that note, be realistic. Don't expect to be going 1vx god mode in 3 days. Be patient with yourself and understand things do take time. The second mistake is not being prepared for PvP. This is actually very common. However, you don't have to be super rich in ESO to get ready for PvP, as most in-game PvPers are broke from always making builds. So what do I mean by be prepared? Well, first and foremost, have an actual PvP build. Take some time to test your build in PvE, figure out what skills you like and don't like. Explore different resources on YouTube and on the internet. There is all kinds of builds out there that people have tested for hours and hours, perfecting and fine-tuning their spec. If a build interests you, give it a try. Sure, you may not have the perfect best-in-slot sets or traits, but you can always try something less expensive and supplement alternatives for what you don't have. I have several resources going over builds that I personally use on my Templar, Nightblade, and Dragonknight, as these are my main classes, and I have several hours of footage on my streams to show you how I play each build. And I'll also link all my builds in the description if you guys want to check them out. Regardless of whatever build and class you choose, whether you're a Nightblade ganker, a Templar healer, or a Dragonknight tank, it is highly recommended that your weapons are gold, as they provide upwards of 300 damage in legendary quality. Put all of your focus on upgrading your weapons first. For your armor, try to get it to purple if you can. If you can't, blue will be okay, but try to get it to purple as fast as possible, as this will make you a little bit tankier. For your jewelry, try to upgrade it to blue if you can, as this is a decent midway point and isn't super expensive. Obviously, for any of your gear, it's best to have it gold, but these are some good kind of staples that if you don't have a lot of money in ESO: gold weapons, purple armor, and at least blue jewelry. Gear enchantments are also important as well. Obviously, gold is best, but purple enchantments are decent and much cheaper to make and or buy. Until you can afford golden quality tri-stack glyphs, purple glyphs on the body are fine. However, I suggest doing at least 2 glyphs of health on the chest and legs, and then the rest of your gear can be stamina or magic, whatever you are more focused on. Once you can afford tri-stat glyphs, it is best in slot to put them on every piece of gear, as it provides the most stat density as possible. Now moving on to the consumables, we have food and potions. Now for the food, this provides you with a stat increase, and the one that you pick all depends on your build. The most common and widely used is the tri-stat food. It is called Sugar Skulls. This provides you with max magicka, max health, max stamina, and health recovery. The weaker version of this is called a Longfin Pasty with melon sauce, which is equivalent to the Crown Store Tri-Food. This provides similar max stats to the Sugar Skulls, but doesn't give you the added health recovery, but is much cheaper. A few other recipes of note specifically for magicka builds is the Clockwork Citrus Fillet. This gives you maximum health, maximum magic recovery, and health recovery. I only recommend this food if you are in much need of really a lot of magic recovery. The weaker version is called Witch Mother's Potent Brew, as it provides similar stats to the Clockwork Citrus, but doesn't give that added health recovery bonus, and obviously is a little bit cheaper. Moving on to the more conventional foods for both magicka and stamina builds, there is a recipe called the Smoked Bear Haunch. Now this is widely used on classes that use both resources, like the Stamina Nightblade, or classes that don't need the max stats but would rather have the extra main and off stat recovery. There is a cheaper version of this called the Jewels of Misrule. Now moving on to more of the stamina focused food, we have the Lavafoot Soup and Salt Rice. Now this, in my opinion, is the best in slot food for 99% of stamina specs, as it provides you with stamina and stamina recovery. It gives you much more value, in my opinion, than something like the Artan Takeaway Broth, which is a lot more expensive for the ingredients, but it doesn't provide you with the same value that you're going to get from something like the Lavafoot. With the Lavafoot, all you have to do is invest maybe 20 or 30 points just to counteract the HP loss from the food, and you have a lot more max stamina and stamina recovery. Now this pretty much wraps up all of the best foods for PvP for most builds. Moving on to potions, the most staple is the Tri-Stat Pot, and they restore health, magicka, and stamina. This potion can be used on really any build. Another great potion is Essence of Immovability. This provides you with Unstoppable, where you can't be stunned for 10 seconds. It also gives you health and magicka or stamina, whichever version you choose. This is mainly used when you try to go offensive and need to have a 10-second window to not be CC'd. And the last potion we have is Essence of Detection. Now this is mainly going to be used for the utility aspects to find those pesky Nightblades. Trust me, you'll want to have a few of these. So that wraps up mistake number 2 about getting prepared for PvP. In short, it's just getting all of your ducks in a row, making sure you have a good build, it's upgraded correctly, you have good food and potions, and all of that. The third mistake is not having access to a speed, cleanse, or snare removal skill. This is by far, yet again, one of the most common but easily fixable mistakes. In PvP, skills that hinder your movement, like stuns, immobilizations, slows, and snares, are very, very powerful. In order to combat these, there are several skills that you have in your arsenal to make your life easier and help you survive in PvP. The main skill that is widely used across both magicka and stamina focused builds is Race Against Time. This is from the Sigic Order skill line, and I highly recommend you purchase this DLC just for this skill alone. It really changes your overall experience in PvP, so let me go over it and then explain what it does. So Race Against Time provides you with Major Expedition for 4 seconds that increases your movement speed by 30%, and also gives you Minor Force for 12 seconds that increase your critical damage done by 10%. And the most important part of this skill is activating it removes all snares and immobilizations from you, and it grants you immunity to them for 2 seconds. The amount of versatility and value that this skill gives you is massive. For stamina builds, this allows you to go with setups like 2H and Sword and Board on Stamina DKs, or 2H and Dual Wield on something like Stamina Nightblade or Stamina Sork, and it still gives you Major Expedition and doesn't force you to have to use the bow. For magic specs, this has been a long time skill that they've really needed and have had for quite a while. Most magic classes are slow, and having Race Against Time provides them with that snare immunity and that extra speed bonus, which is absolutely amazing in PvP. Now, there are several more skills that do provide the same utility, just like Race Against Time, and here is a short overview of some of them. There are some armor specific skills like Shuffle that require you to have 5 medium armor equipped, but it removes all snares and immobilizations on you for 5 to 7 seconds depending on the amount of medium armor you have equipped. Others are class-specific skills like Ball of Lightning for the Sorcerer, Phantasmal Escape for the Nightblade, Protective Plate on the Dragonknight. These are some of the most common skills that give you snare immunity, while also providing unique buffs to that specific skill. But there are also other skills that provide you with a cleanse that not only removes snares, but remove any negative effects on you like debuffs, damage over time effects, etc. These are skills like Extended Ritual on the Templar, Renewing Undeath on the Necromancer, and Betty Netch for the Warden. So now let's talk about a few skills that directly impact your movement speed. Similar to Race Against Time, this provides you with a major expedition for 4 seconds. This is one of the best movement skills in the game as it provides you with the speed and snare removal in one skill. However, there are other skills and weapon passives that provide you with the major expedition buff. They include skills like Boundless Storm on the Sorcerer, Hasty Retreat from the Bow passive, Falcon Swiftness on the Warden, Quick Cloak from the Dual Wield skill line, Elude from the Medium Armor, and Elusive Mist from the Vampire skill line. These are some of the best skills to help you with a little bit of movement speed in PvP, help you be a little bit faster than your opponent. To wrap up this list, we have a few gear pieces, specifically mythic items, to help you with your overall movement speed. First, we have the Ring of the Wild Hunt. If you want to be a speedy boy on a Stamina Sorcerer, then this is the mythic for you. Keep in mind, however, you can't go faster than 200% movement speed. Now, the other mythic is called Snow Treader's Boots. Now, this is ideally used for people who are a little bit tankier, but don't want to be bothered to have to use Race Against Time, as the Snow Treaders allows you to be immune to snares while in combat, but the drawback is you cannot sprint while in combat. It is overall a decent balance, but for healers, I think this is a very strong mythic, as oftentimes you get immobilized spammed, so now instead of having to roll dodge out of them, you are immune to several skills like Talons, Encase, Cripple, and more. This allows you to focus on healing and keeping your team alive. All of these skills are very important in PvP, be it a snare removal, cleanse, or anything helping you with movement. You need to try them out and see what works best for you. Being able to move in PvP is so very important that if you are snared or immobilized, or you just outright have a slow build, you're going to be easy pickings and you will die much more often. This is a simple and very easy fix to help improve your overall PvP experience. The next biggest mistake I see all the time is poor buff management. This typically includes your defensive utility skills like your armor buff. Make sure you keep these up as it provides you with much needed mitigation in PvP. This can also include skills that provide you with a damage buff, with skills like Rally from the 2H. This is very important to keep up as it not only is your damage buff, but also is a very important burst steal. There are other damage buffs like Degeneration from the Mages Guild, Critical Surge on the Sorcerer, Betty Netch on the Warden, Molten Armament on the Dragonknight, so on and so forth. These are very important buffs that not only increase your damage output, but also increase your healing potential to stay alive. The main reason you sometimes forget to keep your buffs up is you tunnel vision. This is a mistake that will get you killed so many times over, especially if you're going against somebody that knows how to PvP. They will take your focus and energy and use it right against you, taking advantage of you being in a weakened and aggressive state with no defensive skills up. Don't just spam your attacks, be methodical in your skills and positioning. Just take a breather, bar swap, put your armor buff and heals back up, and go right back into slaying your enemy. However, if tunnel visioning isn't your issue, there is hope. There is actually a new quality of life feature that ZOS has implemented for us console players to help you manage your buffs. So you can turn on your ability bar timers in the options and under combat. And you go down here to ability bar timers, turn this on, and ability bar back row, turn this on. I recommend turning on ability bar show, attributes always show, or even on automatic, that is perfectly fine. Numbers and percent, combat tips is fine, and then ultimate number on. What this does is you look there in the bottom of my screen, you'll see my ability bars right there are on. So if I hit my rally, my weapon damage buff, and my heal, and it counts down on 15, 14, 13, so on and so forth. But also when I bar swap, you see that little bitty timer on my R1 ability, that shows you how long I have my rally up for. So it's got a little bit less time. There's like 1 second, 2 seconds, and I reapply it, rebuffs back up, and then that bar goes back down. I can do this with Race Against Time, and you'll see there that's the duration of the major or the minor force. It doesn't give you everything. It's not like super high tech, but it does this purpose. For example, one of my longest buffs is elude, but I could tell this typically by my character's look. However, I can see the elude on my circle skill, where my wielding blades is, and how long it has left. So this is an easy thing you can do that you can help keep your buffs up much easier. Mistake number 5 is not knowing your class. Now obviously this takes time. However, I suggest looking over your skills and passives and see what they do. Now this isn't the most exciting part of PvP, however, learning the ins and outs of your build makes all the difference. When in a pinch, you remember what skills you need to hit in order to stay alive, whether you need to bar swap and hit your burst heal, or roll dodge and hit your vigor. Also, understanding your offensive combos, especially if you are running some type of damage build, you need to know what skills to hit when. As if you mess up your rotation and don't hit the stun on your enemy at the right time, it can allow them to escape. Now this is very relative to PvP in general. In PvE, I know there's rotations and whatnot that you hit your dots and you put down your ground effects. That doesn't really work in PvP. A lot of it is more single target or AoE, actually hits a person rather than just lays it on the ground, and you have to aim it in PvP. Things are more dynamic. Things aren't as cut and dry in PvP, and that's what makes things so interesting and so much more fun, in my opinion. Now, to get more comfortable in PvP, find a friend or a guildmate and duel them. Get comfortable with the animations of your abilities and ultimates, as being relaxed in a stressful situation makes all the difference as you learn. However, don't just stop with one class. I see people do this all the time. It is okay to have a main build, but as you progress, I can't recommend enough to play every single class, even the trash ones, as this provides you with a huge knowledge base that you understand the entire game. As you gain experience in all classes, you'll start to understand their strengths and weaknesses. This gives you a very big edge, as you can exploit those weaknesses against other classes and be ready for the weaknesses of your own. Now, while doing all of these actions above, I can't recommend enough to watch myself or any other PvP content creator, especially if they're playing your main focus build that you're trying to learn. This will show you what to expect, how to play the build, and you can replicate their success in your gameplay. This will be of immense value, especially when you're starting a new class or build, as they can kind of give you a decent roadmap on kind of what sets and skills work the best. Mistake number 6 is not managing your resources. Again, this does come with time. However, in PvP, the main focus, especially in 1v1 situations, is running your opponent out of resources, as this allows them to not be able to heal themselves or break free from a stun or get out of an immobilization. This puts you in the driver's seat of a fight. In a 1vx situation, it is all about survival, with line of sighting, putting objects and structures between myself and the enemies. This allows me to not have to heal myself as much, and it keeps my resources topped off, as most 1vx's are typically 80% playing defensive and 20% going offensive. You will spend most of your time when fighting outnumbered playing defense, waiting for that perfect opportunity to strike, as most of the time when you go offense, you really feel a strain on your resources, so reserving yourself to only small burst windows is the key. Having good resource management starts off with having enough sustain on your build. Ideally, stamina builds run approximately 2,000 stamina recovery, while magic builds it really varies, but anywhere between 1,000 to 3,000 recovery, with magic Dragonknights focusing more on cost reduction and being on the lower end of the recovery pool, while magic Nightblades can easily get upwards of 3k recovery. Magicka is a little bit more nuanced and complicated than stamina, especially setting up builds. However, 99% of all situations, stamina builds use the Serpent Mundus Stone, which increases their stamina recovery, and magic builds will use the Aeternach Mundus Stone, which increases their magic recovery. This provides you with pound for pound the most stat density possible, giving you an immense amount of scaling on your recoveries. Now, after you have decent sustain on your build, it is very important don't just willy-nilly spam your skills. There is obviously a method to the madness. You can always try to keep your resources up with heavy attacks. Staves will restore magicka, weapons will restore stamina. Now overall, managing resources encompasses all of the mistakes mentioned previously in this video, like being prepared for PvP, having those potions to restore your resources, and the food to give you the recovery. Next is understanding your build so you know what skills and passive do what, like the Templar's Rune Focus restores their resources, and DKs when they use their ultimates, they get resources back, and so on and so forth. Also, getting into the PvP mentality, sustaining your resources means you don't go into a panic. I often see newer players doing the panic roll, and that puts them in a very, very bad spot. as most of the time I use skills that go directly through roll dodge, like puncturing sweeps on the Templar, whirling blades from the dual wield, and so on. And it even encompasses keeping those buffs up, as if you let them run down and you get counter bursted, what do? You typically will have to roll dodge, and then you'll have to hope and pray you have enough stamina to roll and heal yourself back up. And in doing so, this will put your stamina down quite a bit and leave you in a vulnerable state. As you can tell, everything in PvP overlaps, and the more you PvP, the better you will become. Watching videos and guides are some of the best value that you can get without obviously PvPing, but nothing replaces the experience in the hot seat. So in closing, I hope this video helps you get better in PvP and get you prepared for the event coming very soon. If you even got one thing from this video, I'd be so very grateful if you hit that like button and shared it with your friends. But that's it for me, and I'll see you guys in Cyrodiil.